So guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Mishoko Reaction. I want us to watch a video. It's about President of Burkina Faso, who is called Ibrahim Traore. Ibrahim Traore he is at a seminar encouraging the youths. He is advising the youths about what they should be expecting, from their leaders, what they should be not expecting from their leaders, what their leaders have to do to them, and what they have to do about their leader. So watch the video, and I'll be back with much more to comment from. Thank you.
Hello everyone. I would like to welcome all the young people from the 13 regions who are in the room and those who have not been able to access the room. To all the young people from Africa, to accompany the youth, welcome to the land of integral men. I would like to pay a vibrant tribute to our strong security and defense forces who fight day and night for Burkina Faso to be and remain beautiful. I would like us to take a minute to pray for those who are on the ground and also for the rest of the souls of those who have fallen for our country.
Je vous remercie.
Thank you. Thank you. Let us give thanks to God for allowing us to be here today to celebrate the International Youth Day in good health. I say this very often because human beings often forget God when they have no problem, when they are in happiness. But when worries come, this is when we remember God. Give thanks every day for the breath of life and for health. Youth from Burkina Faso, youth from Africa, youth, this phase of life where we have enough strength, enough energy, like the paraphrase, the slammer that has just passed. Youth is the time when we have spent enough time. We must take advantage of the time we have been given. Use the energy necessary to reach our goals, to change the world, to change our world, to change the world of others positively. Children want to grow up to be young. Older people want to grow up to be young. Everyone wants to be young. Youth is a blessing. So take advantage of youth to do useful work. This is why when I see in the chosen theme the first two words that come to mind, integration, security. Africa faces many challenges, and we must ask ourselves questions. Is youth an asset or a handicap for the development of nations? The answer is simple and unequivocal, and you know it. Developed countries mostly have an aging population, and currently many countries have launched programs to rejuvenate their populations. Africa has this chance to have a very young population. But why is Africa not developed? We must therefore look at the question of why Africa has a young population and why it is not developed, and why developed countries seek to rejuvenate their populations. We must transform our youth into a real asset and engine of development for our continent. To do this, we need integration.
d'intégration. Nous avons besoin de sécurité.
We need security and development. We need to unite.
Certes, vous entendrez parler de l'Union.
You will hear about the African Union.
Oui, elle existe. Mais quelle
Yes, it exists, but what is the effect of the African Union?
Nous ne pourrons pas parler d'intégration dans le thème.
We cannot talk about integration and not talk about the African Union,
Cette organisation qui devrait nous unir.
because it is this organization that should unite us,
Mais nous sommes au
create
regret
real
de
integration.
voir ces guerres qui persistent sur le continent africain.
But we regret to see this war that persists on the African continent, that kills millions of young people,
Et à la tête d'État pourvu d'armées.
and that this organization, which has the head of state provided with an army, cannot organize itself to support certain countries.
L'union n'est pas juste un mot.
The union is not just a word, the union is a symbol.
Et nous jeunes devrions apprendre le
And we young people should learn from this situation
pour faire de l'intégration une réalité.
to unite us to make integration a reality.
Désagréablement surpris lorsque l'Éthiopie, qui abrite donc.
I was unpleasantly surprised when Ethiopia, which is the seat of the African Union,
Et quand j'ai vu le Premier ministre se mettre en treillis,
experienced a conflict, and when the Prime Minister announced to close the university in Addis Ababa to face the threat,
l'action de l'Union africaine.
I did not see the action of the African Union to protect this seat.
Occidentaux pour la plupart voyaient Addis
Western
Ababa.
states, for the most part, saw Addis Ababa fall, fold their backpacks, and leave.
L'Éthiopie s'est battue, a trouvé une solution
Ethiopia
interne.
fought, found an internal solution, and lives more or less in peace today.
Les enfants du Congo meurent.
The children of Congo have been dying for years.
Plusieurs autres conflits, tels au Soudan.
Several other conflicts, such as in Sudan, exist on the continent.
Nous aurions aimé voir l'Union africaine générer.
We would have liked to see the African Union generate the strength and all the strategies necessary to support its states so that they can find peace.
Nous ne viendrons même pas parler de nous ici au Sahel.
We will not even talk about us here in the
Depuis
Sahel.
près de 10 ans,
For nearly 10 years, the Sahel has been the scene of international terrorism.
mais nous ne voyons aucun soutien.
But we see no support from these organizations to find a solution to this problem.
Pire, il y a quelques jours de cela, un pays
Worse, a few
étranger
days ago, a foreign country in Africa openly announced that it had supported and participated
soutenu et participé à une attaque lâche
in a cowardly, terrorist, and barbaric attack against the forces of our confederation.
L'Union africaine n'a pipé aucun mot pour condamner.
The African Union did not say a word to condemn this interference.
L'Union africaine n'a
The
pipé
African
aucun mot
Union did
pour
not say a
condamner
word to
cette
condemn this
ingérence
interference
extérieure à la
of a foreign state in Africa in the internal affairs of our states.
de nos États. Et ce coup de gueule, je souhaiterais
I would like them to hear this shout
qu'ils sortent donc de leur silence.
and get out of their silence and take action so that the youth can believe in the African Union.
Il nous faut nous unir. Il nous faut nous unir. Et
We
la
must
seule manière de
unite.
s'unir,
The only way to unite is to talk to each other, to understand each other, and to be able to establish the basis of this unity.
unité-là. Et jeunes, laissez-moi vous dire que pour s'unir,
Young people, let me tell you that to unite, there are three words, three big screws that we must ban from our behavior and our lives.
je parle de la lâcheté, la traîtrise,
I am talking about cowardice, treachery, and incompetence.
il faut bannir
We must ban these three words from our way of life.
de notre mode de vie.
I am going to
Je vais
explain
vous
why.
expliquer pourquoi. La lâcheté recouvre beaucoup de vices.
Cowardice covers many screws.
A toujours peur. Et lorsqu'on a peur,
A coward is always afraid. And when we are afraid, we become slaves. We bend. We lick our boots.
nos ancêtres n'ont
Our
pas.
ancestors were not cowardly.
Et si nous sommes lâches, nos enfants vont nous.
And if we are cowardly, our children will ask us
Imaginez qu'au
questions.
Burkina, nous refusions de nous battre. et nous acceptons de nous
Imagine that in Burkina Faso we refuse to fight and we accept to submit to live in slavery.
poserons des questions. Nos parents ont-ils été des lâches pour nous laisser
Tomorrow our children will grow up and they will ask themselves questions. Have our parents been cowardly to leave us in slavery? Whether we are alive or dead, we will feel it.
a peur. Et les impérialistes ont compris, ils essaient de faire
Cowardice is afraid, and the imperialists have understood that they are trying to scare the leaders so that they become cowards.
tous les autres vices peuvent naître. On fait tout.
Because when you are a coward, all the other screws can be born. We do everything so that we are afraid. They come to our palaces. They threaten us directly or with veiled threats.
Bien sûr, nous répondons comme il le faut.
Of course, we respond as it is necessary. They try to make us understand. They take examples every time.
Ils prennent chaque fois des exemples. Ils nous diront, vous
They tell us, you know,
Thomas Sankara a essayé de faire comme ça, mais
Thomas Sankara tried to do this, but he is dead.
président haïtien, il a essayé de faire comme ça, il est où? Il est mort.
President Haitian tried to do this, but he is dead.
Comme ça, il est où? Il est mort. Voilà des propos qu'on nous tient de manière.
Gaddafi tried to do this, but he is dead. These are words that we take in a veiled way to scare us.
Nous voyons aussi souvent certains jeunes.
And we often see some young people trying to take our path in a different way. We can hear them say, such and such person ruled like this, he is in his country.
A régné ainsi, il a la CPI. Telle personne a
Such and such person ruled like this, he is in prison.
Pour qu'on devienne des lâches. Mais je pense qu'ils n'ont pas compris quelque chose.
All this to try to scare us so that we become cowards.
Nous vaincrons. Ce n'est pas qu'une phrase.
But I think they didn't understand one thing. When we say country or death, we
Ce n'est pas
win.
qu'une phrase. Ça a tout son sens.
It's not just a sentence. It's not just a sentence. It all makes sense. We are not afraid and we will never be afraid.
Ils ont fait peur, sûrement, à beaucoup de chefs d'État africains.
They probably scared a lot of African heads of state. They probably scared a lot of African heads of state.
Lorsqu'on a l'occasion d'être dans certaines situations à l'extérieur,
You see, often when we express ourselves or when we have the opportunity to be in certain situations abroad,
prendre soin de notre jeunesse pour pouvoir amorcer notre
we often say something to call on African heads of state to wake up and take care of our youth so that we can start our real development. So that we can start our real development.
Publiquement, à nos propos,
We are often misunderstood. Some have publicly opposed us. Some have publicly opposed us because they feel indexed. But I can assure you, youth, that when we find ourselves in the quarters,
ces mêmes chefs d'État nous disent vous êtes sur la bonne voie, c'est ce qu'il faut faire pour que l'Afrique.
these same heads of state tell us that we are on the right track and that this is what needs to be done so that Africa can rise again.
Nous leur posons des questions à savoir pourquoi vous ne
So we ask them questions like, why don't you do like us?
Certains
Why don't you
disent qu'ils
support
ont
us?
oublié, certains nous disent qu'ils ne peuvent pas. Chers aînés,
Some tell us that they have the means and some tell us that they can't.
Je souhaiterais dire que les peuples africains sont les peuples les plus pacifiques.
Dear elders, African heads of state, at the end of this podium, I would like to say that African peoples are the most peaceful. That African peoples are the most peaceful. When you recognize a wrong, you have to tell the
Nous avons
people.
des biens mal acquis. On nous a comprimés par.
When you recognize a wrong, you have to tell the people. We are not afraid to come out and tell the people we are sorry. We have been compromised. We have been mistreated. We have been compromised by several things, and we ask for forgiveness, and we come back on the right path and to start working really for the independence of our states and our emancipation.
Nous serons lâches.
And I think it is possible. If we remain in this posture of fear, we will be cowardly and history will judge us.
Nous sommes en train d'écrire l'histoire.
Our children will ask questions. Our grandchildren will ask
Si nos
questions.
ancêtres avaient été lâches, nous ne serions pas là.
We are writing history. There is no place for cowardice. If our ancestors had been cowardly, we would not be here. Do you remember? I will give you an example of the people of Bamileke and Bassa. I want to talk about the Cameroonians, the union of the population of Cameroon. which since the 1950s has started a relentless fight against the Poles, but they have been massacred. The French colonial armies, in turn, have dispatched infantry battalions, tanks, helicopters, have annihilated anti-village. The most inhuman tortures have taken place during this period. You can do research on what they call the cart or the Bakasima. Hundreds of thousands of people have been decimated in Africa because they dared to ask their settlers to leave their land. A civil war that lasted several years. That is to say that people dared to face the imperialists with their bare hands so that we could be here. There is no reason why we cannot face the imperialists so that our future generations can live. There are many examples throughout Africa of brave men who refused to be cowardly, who fought, who faced. Well, let us be worthy of these people. We are their descendants, and let us be worthy of them. A coward cannot be worthy. Let us not be cowards, young Africans, because a coward is always a traitor. And it goes hand in hand. They will try to frighten us so that we become cowards. And if we are cowards, we will betray. We must ban the treachery of our habits. Africans have been traitors so that the slave trade succeeds in Africa. It is because Africans have been traitors that colonization has been able to sustain in Africa. Let us question history. We will see. Lumumba, Patrice Lumumba, was betrayed because he dared to hold his head. And these same beautiful televisions came to the Congo for a few bids extended to individuals in the Congo for an interview to please their population. And you were able to follow that. Lumumba bothered us. He is dead. We are happy. It is treachery. Many other heroes have fallen so that we are here today. And it is a technique of imperialism to frighten others by taking action to really create terror. It has not started today. I will give you the example of a warrior who fought, Victor Biakaboda.
Lisez, vous comprendrez. Il est issu d'une famille de chefs.
Read it and you will understand. He came from a family of chiefs. No chiefdom given by the colonizer. He was a worthy child. He studied in Senegal, I believe. He became a doctor in Guinea. And when the RDA was created, he went to the Ivory Coast region to fight against imperialists, against invaders, against the colonizer. He tried to organize the Ivorian society. Everywhere, people began to speak up. There was a general in his time, Pichu, who massacred the Ivorian population so that this spirit of freedom could never germinate. He continued his fight alongside FEORCUC Lix Houphouët-Boigny. They fought, but the most violent was Victor Biakaboda. He represented a threat to the imperialists. What did he do? In addition to massacring the people who demonstrated, one night they killed him in an atrocious way next to Bois-Flancy. A few hours later, when the people of Dimbakro heard the murder, they marched, they demonstrated. They were massacred by the colonial army. History was killed. The facts are there. After his death, which scared FOC Lix Houphouët-Boigny, they called him and told him, if you continue the fight, you will meet the same fate.
Il a été nommé.
He was afraid and he joined imperialism. He was appointed minister in France and later he came to take the reins of the Ivorian Accord. They used him to eliminate many other people who dared to raise their voices.
Je pense que Thomas Sankara est un bel exemple.
I think Thomas Sankara is a good example.
Si vous avez peur,
If you are afraid, you will be cowardly and you will be a traitor.
n'ayez jamais peur.
Never be afraid.
La lutte.
The fight must continue.
Il y a beaucoup d'autres exemples à travers le
There are
monde.
many other examples around the world.
Il y a ce phénomène qu'ils ont aussi utilisé depuis.
And there is this phenomenon that they have also used for a long time and that they continue to use.
Certains individus, par exemple, se sont retrouvés dans d'autres pays.
You see, some individuals, for example, have found themselves in other countries
Au gouvernement du Mali. Vous avez entendu cette histoire
and created a so-called parallel government to the Malian government.
qui a existé dans le temps. Je vais vous prendre l'exemple.
You have heard this story. It is a technique that has existed for a long time.
Ce professeur de mathématiques qui a
I will give you the example of Ahmed Chalabi,
a été recruté
Iraq. This math teacher, who was even in the Iraqi government, was recaptured by the imperialists, and he formed this semblance of parallel government in Iraq, in the United States.
pour être donc le mouton de sacrifice. Parce que c'est à lui
And he was used to be the sheep of sacrifice,
publiquement que Saddam Hussein développait des armes de destruction massive.
because it was to him that it was said that Saddam Hussein was developing weapons of mass destruction,
Et cet alibi
and
a
he
été
did it.
utilisé pour tuer des millions d'enfants en Irak et détruire l'Irak.
They used him, and this Talibi was used to kill millions of children in Iraq
Un soir,
and destroy Iraq.
après une interview, dans l'interview, il disait même que il sait que la
And do you know what was the fate of Chalabi?
quelques heures après, il a été retrouvé mort dans son lit, mort de...
One evening after an interview, he said that he knew that the CIA was on his back.
Si vous trahissez, vous aurez des fins macabres.
A few hours later, he was found dead in his bed, dead of a heart attack. If you betray, you will have macabre endings. That's how it is. Imperialism has no friends. Imperialism uses you.
Et quand il finit de vous utiliser, il fait
And when
de
it
vous
finishes
utiliser.
using you, it does what it wants with you.
Vous comprenez
Follow my gaze.
de quoi
You understand what I'm talking about. It has always been like this.
Le troisième vice,
The third vice that I invite you to leave is incompetence.
c'est l'incompétence. Je reviens encore au mot du slameur qui a marché sur
I'm coming back to the word of the Islamist who walked on my tongue. Incompetence.
L'incompétence est un phénomène très dangereux.
You understand what I'm talking about. Incompetence is a very dangerous phenomenon that they use to destroy African society.
Reconnaissons-le. Les incompétents ont beaucoup
In our administrations, there is a lot of incompetence. Let's recognize it. Incompetence have a lot of space next to imperialism,
Les incompétents peuvent
because
vous amener
incompetence can take over the development of a country. Incompetence can lead you to doubt yourself.
Les incompétents aiment tout pour eux seuls.
Incompetents love ease. Incompetents love everything for themselves. Incompetents don't like those who are competent.
Ceux qui cherchent. Les incompétents
They don't like those who innovate, those who seek. Incompetents are
Lorsque
dangerous.
vous êtes éclairé, l'incompétent ne vous aime pas.
When you are enlightened, incompetents don't like
L'incompétent ne
you.
vous aime pas.
When you want to innovate, incompetents don't like you.
L'incompétent sait reconnaître celui qui est compétent et il va le
Incompetents only recognize those who are competent, and they will fight him until his last breath,
chercher
because
la
he is afraid of
connaissance.
those who are competent. Seek knowledge. Seek knowledge and work. Work hard to be competent. Ban incompetence.
Parce que à travers les distractions
Because through distractions that we want to make us adopt,
adoptées, on devient incompétent.
we become incompetent.
Les réseaux sociaux sont les
I'll give you an example. Social networks are the places where information is published today.
s'informent à travers Internet et beaucoup de choses. Un jeune qui
People are informed through the
les
internet.
réseaux sociaux, un article sur sa ferme,
A young man who publishes an article on his farm or an agricultural project or a scientific project may not have 1,000 views.
il n'aura pas peut-être 1000 vues.
But a young man who publishes on futility has millions of views.
Ce que moi j'appelle du n'importe quoi.
As the young slammer said, we want to waste your time on futility.
Justement, comme disait
Be
le
aware.
slammer,
Let's
on
focus
veut
on
perdre
work
du temps
and
dans
seek
la
knowledge.
futilité.
Let's seek
Prenez
competence.
conscience. Intéressons-nous au travail.
It's good to be distracted, but we must work first before being distracted. Seek knowledge, otherwise you'll waste your time doing nothing.
D'abord, avant de se distraire. Cherchez la connaissance, sinon vous perdrez du temps à ne rien faire. Et la jeunesse,
Youth is the time when you must use your time wisely.
il faut exploiter son temps à bon escient. Les impérialistes le savent.
The imperialists know this.
Ils vont multiplier tout ce qui est événement de distraction. Ils vont multiplier tout ce qui est
That's why they multiply all events of distraction.
travail pour que vous soyez des incompétents.
They multiply all events that can distract you from work so that you become incompetent. When you fall asleep, you choose the incompetent to lead the important structures. You have no choice but to fold. Let's not be incompetent. Let's seek knowledge.
Les incompétents se cachent souvent derrière des mots.
Incompetents often hide behind words. They use the terms democracy and freedom without realizing what they mean.
Il s'agit. Camarades, la démocratie est un état
Democracy is a state of mind as much as youth is a state of mind.
Ces soi-disant démocrates,
Whether you're a Democrat or not,
comment est-ce qu'on peut...
how can you impose democracy by killing millions of people?
C'est de la dictature, ça, ce n'est pas de la démocratie. Ça ne
It's a
s'impose pas.
dictatorship, not democracy. You can't impose it.
Ceux-là qui se disent démocrates, mais regardez, nous avons
Those who
vu
call
des
themselves
scènes
Democrats have seen scenes where people were prevented from joining
des
assemblies.
scènes où des forces ont débarqué dans des assemblées pour obliger.
We've seen scenes where forces landed in assemblies to force deputies to take texts.
Plus terrible que ça.
We've seen more terrible scenes where people kill their demonstrators. But they call themselves Democrats, and we're called Perseus.
Si c'est ça la démocratie, je répète.
If that's democracy, I repeat, we don't want this democracy.
Et quand vous voyez souvent les incompétents,
And when you see
ils ne
incompetence,
cherchent pas à savoir quelle est la signification du
they don't
mot
seek to
démocratie
know what the
réelle.
real meaning of the word
Ils s'accrochent
democracy
juste
is.
à la définition qu'il lui a donnée l'impérialisme et il se met.
They cling to the definition given to them by imperialism and start talking about democracy without really knowing the basics. That's incompetence.
Regardez le monde pour redéfinir la démocratie.
You have to know, look at the world to redefine democracy as we want it in Africa.
Les incompétents se cachent derrière les libertés.
Incompetence hides behind freedom. Remember, there is no individual freedom. It's a fact.
C'est un fait.
Do you really think everyone is free? Freedom is collective. As long as we live in a society with
Tant
rules,
que nous vivons dans
freedom
une
is
société
collective.
avec des règles, la liberté est collective. Parce que si vous ne respectez pas les règles,
Because if you don't respect the rules, you can't live in society.
si vous êtes libre de parler comme
If you're free to speak as you please, the other is free to answer as he
de vous
pleases.
répondre comme il veut,
That would be disorder.
ça sera du désordre. Si vous êtes libre de
If you're
rouler dans
free
la
to
rue,
walk
de
the
passer
streets and
de
pass
feu,
traffic lights as you
l'autre est
please,
libre de passer aussi et de vous cogner.
the other is free to pass by and
Vous
hit you.
comprenez que si
You understand that if individual freedom takes over, we are in a society of disorder.
voilà pourquoi il y a des règles dans la société.
That's why there are rules in society,
Et là, on parle de liberté collective.
and everyone has to respect the
Donc,
rules.
certains se donnent le droit de parler de leur liberté individuelle.
That's why we're talking about collective freedom. Some people have the right to speak about their individual freedom, but they don't care about others. I think that's also part of incompetence.
Ils s'arrogent les droits que peut-être les États les ont donnés.
Because they don't try to understand. They make up the rights given by the states to serve and do everything for themselves, neglecting the freedom of others.
On pense à la liberté d'autrui.
No, freedom is collective. Before we act, we think about the freedom of others, and we shouldn't transcend the freedom of others. So we need to have a reserve. And once we have a reserve, individual freedom doesn't exist. Freedom is collective, and we need to have this culture of collective freedom.
Cherchons donc la connaissance, lisons.
So let's seek knowledge, let's read, let's interrogate history. Don't read the history they wrote in their favor.
Cherchez la connaissance à travers plusieurs sources et vous comprendrez.
Seek knowledge through several sources, and you will understand in history who fought for Africa, how we must fight to continue this struggle of our ancestors.
Et je ne terminerai pas mes propos sans faire.
And I won't finish my words without making a statement about communication.
Parce que comme je le dis, c'est l'arme fatale de l'impérialisme. Et vous jeunes,
Because as I said, it's the fatal weapon of imperialism.
savoir distinguer le vrai du faux.
And you young people, you must do everything to distinguish the true from the false. We will continue to dismantle the lies of imperialist media that always try to create problems in Africa.
Par leur bouche, ils peuvent vous rendre un roi demain.
Because these media, through their mouths, can make you a king tomorrow. Through their mouths, they can make you leave your position as king and make you a poor slave tomorrow. Pay attention.
Je suivais une émission, malheureusement, il n'y a pas longtemps, burkinabé, où un jeune
I was following a program, unfortunately not long ago, in Burkina Faso, where a young journalist released a sentence that left me a little perplexed.
Il meurt de faim en Corée du Nord. A-t-il pris le soin d'aller en Corée du Nord enquêter pour voir vraiment s'il meurt de faim?
He was talking about North Korea, and the journalist said, but he is starving in North Korea.
Développé que beaucoup de pays européens.
Has he taken care of going to North Korea to investigate to see if he is really starving? Since imperialist media have sold North Korea is more developed than many European countries. And because these media tell us that North Korea is a dictatorship, people are starving, they are poor, they have nothing, we take it here. But North Korea is a nuclear power. How did they do it? Let's pay attention to communication. We must not blindly follow these lying media that only try to divide Africa. It is logical. They fight for the interests of their people, and the interest of their people is that Africa is divided. So, young people of Burkina Faso, young people of Africa, we must unite. We must ban cowardice. We must ban incompetence. We must ban treachery and all the risks in our society. We have the opportunity to speak. We thank God for these opportunities that we have each time to speak, to raise awareness. And I invite you to spread the word, to get to work so that the Africa that we want, self-sufficient in terms of food, is a reality. So that the Africa that we want for harmonious development is a reality. Let me finish because I return to your theme. There is no peace and security without development. The two go hand in hand. If there is no development, there is no security. Because if there is no development, the youth will inevitably find themselves in the vice and there will be no security. If there is no security, there is no development. So the two must go hand in hand. Let's integrate this in our fights so that we can fight and develop. Let's go towards production. Let's produce enough. Let's transform our raw materials so that they are beneficial for our populations and in terms of exportation. I wish you a very good day of reflection on the chosen theme and also on the essential role of youth in this fight. Good luck to all. May God make sure that all those who have made the trip return home in good health and that we can meet again when we wish it by the grace of God. La patrie.
So Traore message is clear. Mr. Traore is advising youths. So Traore is saying that progress starts when people begin making decisions for not only themselves but also for their people. African countries have been offered help from Western countries. Then he clearly says that we should learn to fully depend on ourselves. We can depend on the Western countries, but not fully. We should partially, not fully. We should partially depend on the Western countries. Lately, Burkina Faso's president, Mr. Traore, he is seen to be understanding that the French nationals, how they were exploiting his people, his natural resources from his country, Burkina Faso. Mr. Traore was supposed to chase them away. So lately, Mr. Traore has become very furious. He is beginning to show other African countries that we do not need the Western countries. We do not need anyone. We just need ourselves. Mr. Ibrahim fully condemns incompetence, cowardice, and treachery from young people. He continues saying that betrayal, fear, and poor leadership can lead a whole nation astray and at a very tight spot. A very tight spot, which one? A very tight spot. When he says a very tight spot, he's saying that if African youths, they continue, maybe using drugs, or maybe being at an illiterate level, when other people are learning, they just don't want to learn like that. If we continue being like that, Traore says that if we continue to be like that, we as Africans, we will be at a very tight spot. So in Africa, African leaders, they are very corrupt, and that is not a normal thing. But to them, it's a normal thing. When you are not in an office, corruption is very bad. Yeah, if you are not in an office, corruption is very bad. But when you enter the office, corruption is not that bad. Corruption is not bad. So corruption is bad when I'm not involved. But when I'm involved, it is not corruption. It is something else. So that is what African leaders usually do. African leaders are very promising. At the beginning, at their campaign, they say, we are going to build roads, we are going to improve the infrastructure, we are going to improve the healthcare system, we are going to improve the schools. But when they enter the office, they start grabbing. So African leaders, we should learn from Mr. Traore. Traore is a young man who understands what the nation needs, what his nation needs. He listens to his people. He is what a leader looks like. African leaders, they are very hard-headed. African leaders, you can't tell them anything. African leaders, when he feels like doing anything, he just does it. But Mr. Traore, you see how he is handling his nation, how he has created employment for his people. He doesn't need the people from his nation going to other Western countries saying that they are going to work. Mr. Traore has provided that at home. Mr. Ibrahim is trying to communicate to African youth that they should not allow themselves to be fooled. He continues saying that most of African leaders have been leading the country poorly. That is very clear. African countries, they have been being led poorly, but not all. Some African countries, they are being poorly driven to a point where the projects which are fully paid. You see, in the parliament they say we have set aside like 1 billion. We are going to build a road 500 kilometers, but they end up constructing 300 kilometers, leaving 200 incomplete. 200 kilometers road incomplete. How can you construct a road, then leave it behind, which was fully, not partially, the road was fully paid for? That is still a very cruel thing to do with African leaders, but they seem not to care. Ibrahim is also pumping sense on the youth's mind. They should be united by not only being together on the map, but also having the same purpose of making and pushing both of their both of their worlds, both of their countries together. So Mr. Ibrahim is also trying to say that we as Africans, we should learn that we as African youth, we should learn to be united. When you say that we are going to, we don't want certain things, we agreed on all of us. If here in my country say that we do not want to be governed in a certain way, I don't need, or I don't have to say it personally on my own. We have to agree, both of us. That will encourage our strength. According to Ibrahim, peace, development, and security depends on the people way of standing and moving together. It is said that you cannot move together on the same path if we do not have unity and the same goal. So we cannot move on the same path. We cannot go on the same path if we do not have the same goal. When I'm going this direction, you need to follow me. If you are also going where I am going. But if I go north and you go south, that doesn't mean that we are united. We are on our different paths. President Traore continues encouraging young men to question what they have learned about African leaders who fought for their independence and change during colonization. People came together fighting for their own countries until their very end, and their countries got their independence back. You see, back on the days, back on the colonial rule, Africans used to unite. You say today we are going to attack a certain place. No, people wouldn't say that not today, we should not attack that place. They say we are going this road, and then they are going, and that unity lead to their independence. Traore is concluding by advising the young generation that we should not be we should be fearless, just like the people who came before them and gained control over the colonial rulers. So Mr. Ibrahim fully supports unity, fully supports peace, and condemns fear. He condemns fear. He's saying that youth, you cannot be fear. You cannot have fear. We should be fearless, and that will improve our way of living down here in Africa. So guys, thank you for watching the video. If there's anything that I have left out, kindly please don't forget to share with us on the comment section. Thank you. See you on my next video. Bye bye.